Norway. A kingdom that has constructed a social welfare system so perfect that every citizen is protected within an absolute safety net from the moment of birth. However, there is a strange regulation that challenges all logic. You are not permitted to pass away here simply because the eternal frost refuses to allow for the burial and decomposition of the human body. Welcome to Norway, a land of millionaires who choose to remain hidden and home to inconceivable paradoxes. What secrets lie behind this humble prosperity? Join us as we pierce through the icy mist to explore a kingdom of contradictions. To understand Norway, one must first look beyond the nation's colossal oil reserves and grasp the quiet confidence of its people. Norwegian society is anchored by a cradle-to-grave welfare system designed to resolve life's crises before they escalate into personal tragedies. Healthcare, education, and social support are not viewed as rewards, but as shared infrastructure. This creates a population that lives daily life with a measured assurance, rather than a frantic rush. Influenced by the law of Jante, which emphasizes equality and humility, Norwegians prioritize collective well-being over individual status. Beneath the surface of this prosperity are choices weighed over time. Despite possessing vast oil revenues, Norway maintains high taxes and expensive fuel prices. This is presented not as a moral message, but as a way to fully reflect the true cost of consumption. Parallel to this, electric vehicle infrastructure was deployed early and extensively. Charging stations appeared quietly in daily life, making the transition feel natural and frictionless. This approach can also be seen in small cultural details. At the Edinburgh Zoo, a penguin named Sir Niels Olav was granted an honorary title in the Norwegian King's Guard, following official protocol and succeeded through several generations. To an outsider, it is a charming story. To Norway, it reflects a familiar attitude. Power and ritual can coexist with simplicity. Oslo, a city that expresses itself through restraint rather than ostentation, is the perfect embodiment of the transition from survival to shared prosperity. Along the harbour sits the Akershus Fortress, a medieval stronghold built at the end of the 13th century when survival depended on defence. Its thick stone walls, narrow passages, and elevated position speak to an era when vulnerability was permanent and power needed protection. fortress does not dominate the city, it observes it. Right across the water, the visual dialogue shifts toward the future with the Oslo Opera House. Rising from the fjord, like a jagged iceberg of white marble and glass, it is clearly expensive, yet fundamentally refuses to be showy. People walk freely across its roof, sit along its edges, and use it as a public space. While undeniably costly, the building is not pretentious. Its value lies in its accessibility, not its height. While Akershus speaks of survival and the necessity of walls, the Opera House speaks of transparency and the removal of barriers. Together, they represent the soul of the wealthiest nation on Earth, a nation that honors its arduous defensive history while building a future where the highest peaks of culture are placed directly at the feet of its people. As the cliffs widen and the air becomes crisp with the scent of pine and melting ice, we arrive at Geiranger Fjord. Often hailed as the king of the fjords, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is a majestic testament to the raw sculpting power of the Ice Age. Here, nature did not merely create a path, it crafted a cathedral of stone and emerald-colored water. The fjord stretches for miles, surrounded by vertical cliffs that soar straight from the deep blue depths to snow-capped peaks. Geiranger is an experience of primal beauty. There is a profound stillness here, a quality of silence that seems to absorb the modern world. The water is so clear it reflects like a mirror, doubling the height of the mountains and blurring the boundary between earth and sky. Sound travels differently here, swallowed by distance and scale. Even movement feels slowed, as if the landscape itself dictates a more deliberate rhythm. Small traces of human presence appear only where the land allows. Abandoned farms clinging to narrow ledges, and paths forged where the soil momentarily settled. In the gentle ripple of a passing boat or the distant roar of a hidden stream, Geiranger speaks of a Norway that exists outside of human history, a landscape so magnificent it requires no adornment. Along the steepest sections of the Geiranger Fjord, the cliffs give way to one of the most ethereal sights in the north, the Seven Sisters Waterfall. 7 distinct streams of meltwater plunge nearly 270 meters into the fjord, their paths running parallel from the snowfields far above. Each fall maintains its own course and its own rhythm, never fully merging with the others. Together, they create a pattern of quiet repetition rather than a singular, spectacular crash. From a distance, they look like delicate silver threads draped over dark, unyielding granite. This is where Norse mythology breathes through the landscape. Legend tells of 7 sisters who danced on the mountain, and a suitor across the fjord who was so enchanted by their beauty that he turned to stone, forever watching them from the opposite shore in the form of a bottle-shaped waterfall. The strength of the 7 sisters shifts with the pulse of the seasons. In the spring, fueled by melting snowfields, the waterfalls roar with dizzying power, creating a resounding symphony and a mist that births rainbows in the sun. By late summer, they soften into a whisper, a reminder of the fragility of the Arctic cycle. To stand at the base of the falls is to feel primordial droplets on your skin, and to understand that in Norway, every landmark carries a story. The path leads to Preikestolen, or the Pulpit Rock. The Preikestolen Plateau, towering over Lysefjord, possesses a massive square appearance, looking less like a natural formation and more like an altar designed by a master architect. Rising nearly 600 meters above Lysefjord, it ends abruptly in a clean, square cliff face. The surface is wide and flat. There are no railings, no fences, and no signs warning of the height. Its sharp, refined shape is a geological wonder, formed by the immense pressure of melting ice that sheared away flat slabs of rock centuries ago. Reaching the plateau requires effort. The trail is uneven, rugged, and demands attention. Upon reaching the edge, every step becomes cautious. The staggering scale of the abyss forces a sharp awareness of balance, weight, and distance. Beneath your feet are slabs of stone that have stood firm for millions of years. Before your eyes is a blue expanse that seems to touch the very end of the world. Preikestolen teaches us through proportion. The human silhouette appears both precise and temporary, standing quietly in awe before a land that offers absolute freedom. "12 hours of arduous labor, that is the price nature demands for an audience with the troll." The path to Trolltunga is more than just a hike. It is a silent covenant between the body and the earth. As you cross the high-altitude plateau, passing barren rocks and patches of permafrost, the world seems to grow increasingly ancient. Legend has it that this massive horizontal slab was once the tongue of a troll who grew arrogant and mocked the sun. When the first ray of dawn struck him, he turned to stone, his tongue forever protruding 2,300 feet, approximately 700 meters, above Lake Ringadalsvatnet, as a warning to those who disregard the gods of nature. Geologically, the troll's tongue is a wonder of the last ice age. Meltwater from glaciers seeped into the mountain's crevices, freezing and expanding until it pushed this harder section of rock outward, leaving it suspended in an unimaginable state of tension. Standing on the tip, with the turquoise waters of the lake stretching far below, the sense of scale is overwhelming. There are no safety nets, only the wind and the weight of 10,000 years of history. It is a place that celebrates the grit of the traveler, a symbol of the Norwegian belief that the deepest rewards are reserved for those with the endurance to seek them in the harshest corners of the world. Lying dormant at the foot of the proud ledge, Lake Ringadalsvatnet appears like a giant emerald locked between the vertical stone walls of the Hardangervidda Plateau. The water here bears a deep and surreal sapphire hue, an unreal blue created by the purity of melting ancient glaciers blended with fine rock silt. On windless days, the lake's surface becomes a gargantuan mirror, perfectly reflecting the majesty of the Nordic sky and snow-capped peaks, making the boundary between illusion and reality, between above and below, seem to dissolve. The presence of Ringadalsvatnet is not just a backdrop for legendary photos, it is a testament to the tectonic power of nature. In Old Norse, the word ski simply meant a piece of wood. But at Holmenkollen, regally perched on a hill overlooking Oslo, that piece of wood has become a vehicle for human flight. This is the oldest ski jump in the world. A sleek, curving structure of steel and glass pierces the clouds like a monumental sculpture. It serves as a reminder that for Norwegians, skiing is not merely a sport, it is an identity, a heritage dating back 4,000 years, evidenced by ancient rock carvings and wooden artifacts preserved in the museum deep within the launchpad's foundation. Today's ski jump tower rises with a clean, forward-leaning line, designed not as a monument, but as a launch point. From the summit, the bustling capital of Oslo looks like a miniature toy set, surrounded by the dense forests of Nordmarka, a vast wilderness that begins exactly where the city ends. Within these silent cathedrals of pine and spruce, nature still maintains its own slow, primordial pace. Here, the moose, honored by Norwegians as the king of the forest, quietly crosses the thickets with majesty and solemnity. Nearby, graceful herds of red deer appear and disappear in the morning mist, like ghosts of the great woods. This is a delightful Norwegian paradox. Just minutes away from the futuristic launch pad of Holmenkollen and the hustle of the capital, the primitive rhythm of wild beasts remains undisturbed. These creatures act as silent guardians of the forest, reminding us that even as humans build monuments to touch the sky, the true power of the North lies in the ancient and vibrant silence of the old-growth woods. Nestled between steep mountains and vast waters, Briggen, a row of narrow, leaning wooden warehouses, stands as a colorful testament, in crimson, pale yellow, and silvery brown, to the Hanseatic League. From the 14th to the 16th centuries, this was the epicenter of a global trading empire, a powerful network that controlled commerce across Northern Europe. Inside these wooden structures, dried cod was shipped in massive quantities, preserved by cold air and salt. The fish could travel long distances, providing food for cities far removed from the fjords. This trade connected Bergen to markets it could never otherwise reach, binding the city's fate to rhythms far beyond its coastline. Walking through the narrow, dark alleys of Briggen feels like stepping into a sensory time machine. The air is thick with the scent of salt and tar, the dark, viscous liquid used for centuries to protect pine wood from Norway's relentless rains. This tar gives the buildings a deeply weathered appearance, hiding the history of thousands of merchants within its layers. There is a profound humility in these structures. They lean slightly as they rest on reclaimed land, refusing to be perfect, yet remaining stubbornly enduring. Further north, the landscape opens to reveal Trondheim, the ancient capital of the Viking Age. Before Oslo became the capital, Trondheim stood at the center of Norway's political and spiritual gravity. Once known as Nidaros, it is a place where the echoes of kings and pilgrims still linger in the salty air. Standing at its heart is the Nidaros Cathedral, a Gothic and Romanesque architectural masterpiece that seems to be woven from stone lace. As the northernmost medieval cathedral in the world, it is the resting place of Saint Olav, the patron saint who brought Christianity to the fjords, and it remains the sacred site where Norwegian monarchs are still consecrated. The beauty of Nidaros lies in its exquisite details. The west front is a tapestry of stone, saints, kings, and prophets, all quietly guarding the city for 1,000 years. As the sun sets low in the Arctic sky, the green copper roofs and grey soapstone walls glow with an ethereal light, reflected in the dark, slow-moving waters of the Nidelva River. Nearby, the colourful old wooden wharves of the Backlandet district provide a vibrant contrast to the solemn majesty of the cathedral. Trondheim is not just a historic city, it is where the strength of the Viking spirit has been refined into a profound cultural beauty. Group 3: Engineering Wonders through the Heart of Stone. Deep beneath the solid gneiss and granite of the Sognefjord region, the Lærdal Tunnel stretches for approximately 24 kilometers, holding the title of the longest road tunnel on the planet. Entering this tunnel feels like sliding beneath the natural landscape itself, rather than passing through a man-made structure. The road descends gently, leaving daylight behind and entering a silent underground space where the weight of the entire mountain presses from above. Its route does not pierce straight through the mountain. Instead, it follows the terrain, avoiding steep inclines and sharp turns. The mountain above remains intact, undisturbed by what moves beneath it. To overcome the psychological pressure of such a long and enclosed journey, engineers transform the rock into a vivid light gallery. Stretching over 8 kilometers, the Atlantic Road connects a series of small islands along Norway's western coast, crossing open waters where the North Atlantic is in constant motion. The bridges curve low and wide, following the gaps the sea created long before asphalt appeared. It is built low, nearly level with the sea, erasing the barrier between the traveler and the ocean. The most striking segment, the Storseisundet Bridge, curves sharply as it climbs, lifting the road momentarily before dropping back toward the next island. From certain angles, the structure looks unfinished, a visual illusion created by the sheer geometry of the elevation. During construction in the 1980s, the project was delayed multiple times due to extreme weather. Construction crews faced 12 hurricanes during the process, witnessing their work being submerged or battered by waves repeatedly. The bridges are designed to flex under these massive loads, accepting the sea's embrace rather than stubbornly resisting it. Traffic moves when conditions allow and stops when they do not. There is no alternative route. The road accepts the harshness rather than avoiding it. Deep in the Rauma region, the landscape narrows until the valley walls are nearly vertical, obscuring the horizon. This is the setting of Trollstigen, the Troll's Path, a mountain road that clings to the face of a nearly vertical slope. To reach the summit, travelers must navigate 11 hairpin turns, each cut by hand directly into hard, unyielding rock. The ascent is so steep that the road seems to fold back on itself, a zigzagging grey ribbon of asphalt carved into an ancient stone wall. Construction began in the early 20th century, using controlled blasting and hand-built retaining walls. The steepness allowed for very little margin. Where the mountain permitted a road was dug. Where it did not, the route would end. At the heart of the climb, the Stigfossen waterfall plunges from a height of over 1,000 feet, roaring directly beneath a narrow bridge that spans the cascade. The sound is deafening, an intense encounter with the hydraulic power of the mountains. Opened in 1936, the road still bears the marks of the manual labor required to clear the way, retaining walls built from hand-fitted stones that have stood firm against hundreds of years of rock slides and frost. Above, the road straightens and the landscape opens. What feels compressed below is released into space and distance. Looking back, the road appears fragile, held in place by calculation and maintenance rather than permanence. Trollstigen is a place where the mountains dictate every movement, and every turn reveals a new perspective. Hardangerfjord is a region dubbed the Orchard of Norway. Here, vertical cliffs widen into vast, sun-drenched valleys with a unique microclimate. In the spring, an extraordinary sight unfolds. Thousands of apple and cherry trees bloom in a sea of white and pale pink blossoms. These delicate petals bloom directly beneath the majestic presence of glaciers and snow-capped peaks, an incredible intersection of seasons where the fragility of life meets the eternity of winter. This contrast is no accident. Meltwater from the surrounding glaciers feeds the fjord and the soil along its banks, carrying minerals down to the wide open valleys. The terrain here becomes gentler. The slopes are more gradual. Space opens up just enough for roots to take firm hold. Over generations, farmers have learned to work within these narrow limits, planting orchards where elevation, temperature, and water sources momentarily converge. Sailing through the fjord in May is to witness a landscape in transformation, with emerald water reflecting the snow-capped peaks above and the blooming forests below. Veringsfossen signals its presence long before it appears to the eye. A deep, continuous roar echoes from the canyon, growing heavier as the distance closes. It is one of the most powerful displays of hydraulic force in the country. Meltwater from the vast plateau pours into a single deep channel before plunging nearly 180 meters into a dark, vertical canyon. The river yields entirely to gravity, vanishing into the mist and shadows below. The vertical cliffs are dark and steep, scarred vertically by the constant flow of melting snow from above. Seasonal changes alter the volume of water, but not its direction. In spring and early summer, the flow thickens, fed by melting ice. Later in the year, the stream thins, revealing more of the cliff face beneath, yet the riverbed remains unchanged. A modern bridge spans the canyon, allowing for passage through the air. Its presence feels light, almost temporary, positioned to withstand vibrations, steam, and wind without interrupting the waterfall's flow. As the cascade hits the canyon floor, it shatters into an eternal cloud of mist, often creating rainbows suspended in midair. This is a spectacle of primal, raw physics, the relentless gravitational pull of the North acting on the snow accumulated on the peaks. The canyon itself bears the scars of this process, its walls smoothed and hollowed by thousands of years of erosion. Located on the southwestern coast, the story of Norway's modern prosperity is most clearly visible in Stavanger. Known globally as the oil capital, this city is the engine of the nation's wealth, serving as the primary hub for offshore rigs extracting black gold from beneath the North Sea. However, Stavanger does not wear the look of an industrial giant. Instead of a skyline dominated by steel and smoke, the heart of the city remains a quiet, cobblestone sanctuary. Near the harbour is Gamle Stavanger, a collection of over 170 white-painted wooden houses dating from the 18th and 19th centuries, the largest preserved collection in Northern Europe. Narrow alleys wind between the small white houses, their walls softened by time and careful maintenance. These houses date back several generations before the oil era. They have survived economic fluctuations, wars, and modernization because they were never replaced. Bright red geraniums often spill from flower pots on windowsills, providing the only splash of color against the pale wood. Beyond the old quarter remains a bastion of 19th century maritime charm. The paving stones, smoothed by generations of sailors and now engineers, connect the city's humble beginnings to its current status as a global economic powerhouse. Arendal, often called the Pearl of Southern Norway, Sørlandet, embodies a classic coastal beauty that is both noble and cozy. The city's identity is deeply rooted in maritime history, once serving as one of Northern Europe's most important seaports. Today, that heritage lives on through exceptionally preserved architecture and the gentle pulse of the Skagerrak Sea. The heart of Arendal's aesthetic beauty lies in Tyholmen, the historic Old Town. Walking through this area is like stepping back in time to the 18th and 19th centuries. Here, classic southern beauty is defined by rows of grand, white-painted wooden houses that were once the residences of wealthy shipowners and merchants. However, what truly creates Arendal's charm are the narrow, winding cobblestone alleys. These paths, often only wide enough for two people to pass, meander between historic buildings, revealing hidden gardens, climbing roses, and vintage lanterns. The center of the city's social life is Pollen, the bustling inner harbor. During summer months, the water is crowded with boats of all sizes, from traditional wooden vessels to modern yachts. The coastal area is filled with vibrant cafes and seafood restaurants, where the atmosphere is infused with Sørland hospitality. Beyond the urban center, Arendal's beauty extends to the surrounding archipelago. Nearby islands like Hisøy and Tromøy act as natural buffers against the open sea, offering ideal spots for swimming and sailing. Whether it is the silent reflection of a white house on still morning water or the lively energy of a summer festival, Arendal remains a masterpiece of elegant Norwegian coastal beauty. Dubbed the King of the Fjords, Sognefjord is a natural wonder of massive proportions, stretching over 200 kilometers inland and reaching depths of over 1,300 meters. It is the longest and deepest fjord in Norway. It is often described as a blue blade, cutting deep into the mountainous heart of the country, creating a spectacular path through the rugged landscape. This shape was created slowly, under immense pressure, as glaciers moved through hard bedrock during the Ice Age. The ice advanced and retreated, deepening the channel while preserving much of the surrounding mountains. As the glaciers withdrew, seawater filled the path they had carved, preserving its sharp, elongated form. The visual impact of Sognefjord is defined by stark contrasts. On either side of the shimmering emerald to deep blue water, vertical cliffs abruptly rise, reaching heights of over 1,700 meters. These stone giants are often capped by snow-covered peaks and adorned with silver ribbons of waterfalls plunging into the depths below. The water itself acts as a gargantuan mirror, perfectly reflecting the majestic sky and surrounding greenery, creating a sense of infinite space. Despite its raw, majestic power, Sonnefjord is also home to pockets of serene pastoral beauty. Nestled at the foot of towering mountains are tiny, colorful villages like Balestrand and Flom, where orchards bloom in the spring. The Lofoten Islands are a geological masterpiece where the turbulent waters of the Norwegian Sea meet the towering, jagged peaks of the Arctic. Within this archipelago, the village of Rain represents the pinnacle of breathtaking beauty. Often hailed as the most beautiful place in Norway, these villages offer a landscape so surreal they seem to belong in a fairy tale. The dominant beauty is defined by the striking contrast between the raw, dark granite of the mountains and the bright red robur, traditional fishermen's huts clinging to the rocky shore. For photographers, Rain provides an infinite canvas of light and shadow. In winter, the low sun illuminates the snow-capped peaks in soft pink light, while the turquoise waters of Rinefjord remain crystal clear. Beyond the lens, there is a deep sense of history. These villages were built on the cod fishing industry, and even today, the scent of dried fish on wooden racks lingers in the air. Whether it is the midnight sun of summer or the aurora dancing in winter, the atmosphere is heavy with a silent, ancient power. Life here still faces the sea. In winter, fish drying racks line the shore, filled with cod that has been split in half to dry in the cold air. Boats are moored nearby. Everything is oriented outward, toward migration, weather, and return. In the tiny fishing village of Henningsvær, spread across several small islands connected by bridges, lies what is argued to be the most famous football pitch in the world. Henningsvær Stadium is not famous for its capacity or architectural grandeur. It has no stands and no professional lighting. Hewn from solid rock on the southern tip of a small rocky island, the lush green artificial turf is surrounded by a sea of jagged granite and the fierce waves of the Atlantic. The pitch is a profound symbol of the Norwegian concept of dugnad, community spirit, and collective effort. In a place where land is scarce and the environment harsh, the people of Henningsvær prioritized a space for their children to play and for the community to gather. Surrounding the pitch are thousands of wooden racks used for drying cod, emphasizing the village's primary livelihood. The contrast between the emerald green of the field, the gray of the rock, and the deep blue of the surrounding ocean creates a visual spectacle that has become a global icon of the Lofoten Islands. Playing a match here is a sensory experience unlike any other. The air is thick with the scent of sea salt and the distinct aroma of dried fish. There are no walls to block the wind, so players are constantly reminded of the power of natural elements. This place proves that even in the most remote regions of Earth, human aspirations for sport, connection, and community can flourish. Located 350 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, Tromsø is a city of surprisingly elegant beauty and vibrant energy, nicknamed the Paris of the North. This subarctic hub is a meeting point of incredible opposites. On one hand, it is a sophisticated cultural center with a world-class university, high-end restaurants, and the impressive Arctic Cathedral, featuring glass mosaics that simulate the shimmer of ice. On the other hand, it is a wild frontier where the modern world ends and the untamed Arctic wilderness begins. During the long polar night, when the sun never rises above the horizon, Tromsø becomes the global capital of the Northern Lights. The city's location, right under the auroral oval, makes it one of the best places on Earth to witness the celestial dance of green and purple ribbons across the sky. But the magic of Tromsø is not limited to the heavens. In the surrounding fjords, another kind of spectacle takes place. Each winter, pods of orcas, killer whales, migrate to these waters to hunt herring. For humans, sharing the ocean with these apex predators is a profound and sacred experience. Svalbard is the final frontier of the North, a vast, frozen archipelago where the rules of the modern world are replaced by the laws of nature. This is a land of absolute silence, where the permafrost never melts and the mountains are covered by ancient glaciers. Located at the heart of this icy wilderness is Longyearbyen, the northernmost town in the world, where residents must carry rifles to protect themselves from polar bears, which outnumber humans. It is a place defined by the struggle for survival and the harsh beauty of the high Arctic. They walk slowly across scattered ice floes. Their creamy white bodies stand out against the blue-gray of the cold seawater and the ice cracking with the seasons. Every step is cautious, placing weight on ice sheets thick enough to maintain balance, a familiar movement in an ever-changing environment. Here, polar bears are not symbols. They are a presence to be reckoned with in daily plans. Deep within the side of a sandstone mountain near the airport lies the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called the Doomsday Vault. This facility is the ultimate insurance policy for humanity. It stores millions of seeds from every corner of the world, protected by the natural cold of the permafrost and the massive rock of the mountain. The entrance to the vault, a rectangular concrete block decorated with a luminescent lighting system, stands like a silent sentry in the dark. It is a place filled with hope, ensuring that even in the face of global catastrophe, our planet's biodiversity can be reborn. Visiting Svalbard is to face the fragility of life and the immense responsibility we carry as stewards of the Earth. It is a journey to the very end of the map, where the silence is heavy with the weight of the future. Norway does not hide its wealth out of shame, but because it treasures equality. The true value of this nation does not lie in bank accounts, but is present in the fresh air, the pristine fjords, and the quiet faith in systems that endure over time. Norway is not merely a destination. It is a blueprint for the future, where humans learn to thrive without exploitation. And the journey to explore beautiful lands has not stopped. Please continue to follow us, for on other horizons, other lands are still waiting to be heard.